Alex from the Council of Christians and Jews. I'll introduce our guest in a moment, but let's begin by saying that we're in Melbourne on the lands of the Kulin Nation, and we pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. My guest today is Margaret Hepworth. Welcome.
Thank you.
An educator, and she's going to tell us about herself. So let's start with just telling us maybe a little bit about your professional background and if you have a religious background as well.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Alex. It's really lovely to be chatting with you. So my background is in education, as you said. 30 years of teaching, 30 years of working with teenagers, which I thoroughly enjoy. It is my space, it's my passion, it's my deep belief that working with young people is how we shape the future of society. So there's a beautiful connection beyond schools when you work with young people. So I was the head of campus at Caulfield Grammar, just up the road here, and then the head of house at Caulfield Grammar, the head of campus at Press Hill, which is a school in Kew. And again, loving being in that space, but it was about 10 to 12 years ago that I really started asking myself a lot of deep questions about what was going on in the world. Why is it that we say that we teach empathy and kindness and caring and collaboration, and then you look out at the big wide world and it was, it's very troubled, and particularly in the area of competitiveness, high competition that creates conflict and creates levels of tension that, we just don't know.
And so as a result, you created some initiatives.
I stepped out and I created something called the Gandhi Experiment. So the Gandhi Experiment teaches non-violence as a conscious choice.
That's why you called it Gandhi.
Yes, exactly. And I did actually take that across India. So the Gandhi experience was deepened as I travelled across India. Took it into Pakistan, into China, Indonesia, Fiji. So it's, spent the last sort of 10 years. COVID did a lot to unravel that.
As it did for me.
Yes, as we all went through together. But right here, right now in our world, we're facing massive tension and massive forms of...
Just before we come back to what you do now, tell, what's your religious background?
Oh, my religious background. I was born and raised a Catholic, so Christian, very Catholic father. And when, as a teenager, I did what a lot of teenagers do and gave it all away.
Well, yeah.
And then as I've grown and travelled around the world, I'm highly eclectic in my spiritual belief, deeply spiritual, don't subscribe to one religion.
Where do you think that spirituality comes from? Is that from your travels, from your meeting students?
It's from, I'm not sure, I think it stems originally from my father, and knowing that there's something more, like a very deep belief that we don't understand everything that goes, we are not just this.
So given that spirituality, you now work for an organisation that has a Jewish underpinning, but it's not a Jewish organisation per se. Tell us what it is and a little bit about it.
You're absolutely right. So I work for, I'm lucky enough really, to work for an organisation called Together for Humanity. So we work in the education space. You're right to say the founder director, Rabbi Zalman Kastel, is obviously Jewish. However, it's not Jewish in nature. It is, we take into schools intercultural understanding and interreligious understanding.
Do you want to elaborate a little on what intercultural means?
Absolutely. So the key word is understanding. So intercultural. So I might be you might come from a different faith background, different culture, different country, different whatever. If I'm interculturally aware, I know that you come from a different background, and I'm aware of that, right? I might be aware that perhaps a Muslim woman might choose to wear a hijab, right? I might be aware that a Jewish man might wear the tassels. that's awareness. Intercultural understanding is the next level, and this is really, really
And that's your role to teach.
That's my role. It's engaging, it's wanting to get to know more, it's wanting to sort of know your story and understand, you know, who are you? Why do you do what you do? What's your faith all about? And where are the similarities, you know, for me? What resonates for me? How might I bring something of your world into my world? Which is pretty much how I became eclectically spiritual.
And so you go into schools. Private schools, public schools.
All right across. So faith schools, non-faith schools, government schools, and we go in with particular tools, particular skills, workshops for students that really are aimed at anti-racism, anti-prejudice, anti-discrimination. So things like anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, the treatment of First Nations people, these are high priority for us to work on with young people, to unravel, to give them the tools and skills to help. How do I build a socially cohesive Australia? Yeah.
So that's the goal. That's the ultimate goal.
That's the goal.
So that sounds like a lofty goal. Sounds like a wonderful thing you're doing.
It is a lofty goal, and yet it's achievable. Like I have seen, I can tell you, I think it's because we have that educational background and we've been doing this for decades. So we know how
the organisation's been doing it for a while.
The organisation's been going for a long time. I've been doing my work for a long time. We put all that together.
Even though it's new in Melbourne.
It's newer in Melbourne.
Yeah.
So really more based in New South Wales, Sydney, up in Queensland, and now growing in Victoria. And that's really seriously for anyone listening, if you want to engage, let me know, because the beauty of this is we can go into schools and hear their needs and their challenges and work in a very responsive way to that.
Well, there's nothing better than that at the moment, especially in our world with lots of tension and conflict. So you're doing wonderful work. On behalf of all of us, I thank you for the work that you do, and to the organisation for the work that it's been doing for so long. And thank you for being our guest today. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you.